got a question. What in the world do y'all got me watching? Seriously, I was watching this thing like, what in the world have I gotten myself into? Hey guys, welcome back. Tisha here for our first ever review of Big Love. It is a pilot. This first episode is even entitled Pilot. So I'm going to stay open-minded about it. I can see where there's a lot of areas for there to be storylines. So I'm going to give it a chance, especially because I trust you guys. And this was one of your recommendations. So here we are. But let's get into it. There will be things that I leave out. If you want to talk about it, feel free to please leave it down below. So in this episode, we meet a man by the name of Bill Hendricks. He's the owner of a store called Henrickson's Home Plus. He is opening up a new location. We find out that he is married and has what looks to be 7 children. If I'm wrong on the number, correct me down below. I was just trying to count each time I saw a different child's face. He lives in Salt Lake City, Utah, as do all of his other wives. They're on the same street, like literally it's one house, then another house, then another house, and they share what looks like the backyard area. He has the 3 wives. We begin this episode with Bill and a blonde. I learned later that it's his wife. At first, I didn't know what was going on because we see images of them having sex and or attempting to have sex, and then him leaving $100 bill on the nightstand. So I was like, wait a second, what is going on here? Especially because she looks so underwhelmed and so unsatisfied. We then meet Barb. Barb is his first wife. She seems to be the level-headed one. She's the one who runs the meetings with the wives. She seems to be organized. She seems to not have a problem sometimes giving up her nights when it comes to things like birthdays. And she seems a little bit more considerate than the blonde that I first told you about. There's Marge. Marge is his 3rd wife. Marge comes across as needy to me. She wants to know at times if Bill misses her more than he misses the others. She's obviously younger. She is trying to have sex with him. She goes down on him and she comes back up looking like, what's going on? And this is when I realized that the reason why his 2nd wife, Nikki, looked like she was having issues with him when he left the money on the stand is because, just like her, he's having issues performing with Marge as well because he seems to be having some issues getting it up. He says it's because of stress and the store. And she is struggling because she's not sure if it's just that or if it's the fact that she's having problems with things like her baby weight. Bill seems to be very hands-on. We see him walking around as he kisses all of the different wives in front of one another. They make dinner. It looks like it's together. They eat as a family. They seem like they get along well. But they say little slick things about each other here and there that lets me know there is some issues very early on. Later, we even see Marge struggle because she's trying to add to the family, but she feels like she's not doing enough because she can't take care of her kids, let alone anybody else's. On to Nikki. Nikki is his 2nd wife. She comes across to me as the pot stirrer. She seems like she's never satisfied, that she wants certain things that the other wives may not get. We see her even try to, weasel her way into, even though it's supposed to be family night where the whole family hangs out, it's also her son's birthday. So she wants it to be where, even though he's not supposed to be at her house that night, that Bill stays at her house. She doesn't want to include the family on that. She comes across at times as a little passive aggressive to me. Very early on in my notes, as early as up here, I put, so far, I don't like her. And at the end of the episode, I still don't like her. Maybe it will change over time, but as of right now, it's a no for me. Because one minute, she's calling Barb boss lady. Then the next, she's telling Barb how Marge is fixated on losing a couple of pounds. And you hear Barb make a statement like she's immature or something like that, not realizing that the girl is just insecure right now. Then the next, she's buying things without the knowledge of her husband. Keep in mind, she doesn't work. The only two people who work in this household are Barb and Bill. I wanted to call her Kim Cody. I don't know why. Y'all, if I jack up the names, give me a minute. I'll get it. I promise. At, a couple episodes in, I'll be good to go. So she's buying things without the knowledge of her husband, spending almost $4,000, putting things on various credit cards because she's maxing them out. And it looks like she has a bunch of them. Then the next thing you know, she's complaining about not getting enough money and how she only gets $100, or she only got $100 from, her husband. Meanwhile, when they moved there, that Barb got reupholstered chairs, and that even though Barb works, it's supposed to be a common pot and all these things, yet she has things that the other wives don't know about, like a personal account. So you want to complain about where Barb's money is going and how much money Barb is spending, yet you're doing things that Barb isn't privy to. Yet you have access to money that she doesn't have access to. And I didn't look long enough to pay attention to the cards. I hope all those credit cards that she had in that wallet, like literally it was this thick of cards. She even had a couple of them sprung out on the bed as she was calling to make the appointment for this person to come with the swatches and stuff. She's over there talking to the person, and the first card gets declined. So she tries another one. This girl, to me, is a problem. We meet Sarah. Sarah is the oldest daughter, I believe. Well, I believe because Barb is the first wife. She's Barb's, okay? She has a job at a local burger place. We learn later that her co-workers do know that she has 3 mommies, but there's a new young lady by the name of Heather that does not know. She seems nice. She's really into the church. She's trying to figure out what's up with Sarah, what's the story about her parents and her family and things like that. Sarah tells her, my dad has his own business. My mom is a substitute teacher. She's working on getting, her licensing and whatever else. And she leaves it at that. So then she asks Heather about her family. Heather tells her, my mom's a stay-at-home mom. She's a homemaker. And my dad is a trooper. And you see a little bit of reluctance and a little bit of hesitation on Sarah's face. That's probably because Sarah's family are polygamous and she knows what that can mean for her family. So back to the household. It's Barb's night. She looks like she's ready to have sex. Her husband is experiencing impotence. So he's trying to avoid it. He comes out wearing pajamas and she's looking at him like, what you got pajamas on for? He's like, try something new, da, 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 da. So she's kissing on him because she's trying to get this party started. And he decides that right now, while she's kissing on his neck and stuff, would be a great time for him to say, I'm going to need you to sign over your check to me so I can put it in the family account. She immediately gets annoyed with it and is like, I resent you trying to tell me what to do. I resent you telling me to give you the check because I know that Nikki put you up to this. Now, whether or not Nikki put him up to it, y'all let me know. But I will say Nikki influenced him because we saw Nikki earlier complaining about how Barb should be putting her stuff in the family pot. And here he is now saying, I need you to sign your stuff over to the family pot. How much money is he like in debt for? Because it seems to me like this is about more stress than just him doing the store thing. So she resents what Nikki's trying to do. I wonder how much she's going to resent Nikki once she realizes how Nikki has been spending money left and right, charging stuff. We learn other things about Barb later on. Like Barb cannot have children because she had cancer 6 years ago. And as a result of the cancer, she had to have a hysterectomy. I do see some similarities here in certain things with the Browns, but this show started before the Browns even came out. But I'm still going to be comparing more than likely. So we find out in the show that Bill's father is sick. His brother calls and says, look, Dad is throwing up blood. He's in a lot of pain. He a lot of times appears to be like in a coma or something. All of that, and we find out that he has not seen a doctor. So he's like, okay, I don't really want to go out there, but I'm going to have to drive to the compound. I'm going to come in the morning. We find out that they left the compound for various reasons. Apparently, one of them was because of the corruption, according to Barb, and the old men preying on little girls. Bill knows that Barb doesn't want to go and says to Barb, can you please come? Barb doesn't want to go. Her daughter the next morning even's like, why are you going if you hate that place and you don't want to go? And she's like, because he asked me. Meaning, even though I really don't want to come to this place, he needs me in this moment and I'm going to be there for them. Well, guess what? Nikki is going to. And Nikki is trying to talk him out of having her go. To the point where she's like, you could just stay, whatever. And she goes to open the front door to get in, and Barb gets in the door. I said, this is about to be a mess. Barb gets in the door and sits down like, thank you for opening the door for me. You can go to the back, basically. She doesn't say it, but the look said it all. So they arrive at his parents' home. It's at the Juniper Creek compound where his mother has refused to take his father to the hospital. They walk into the house, and this area of the house looks a mess. He's laying on the floor on his side, and he's saying to his son as his son is, down on the ground trying to hold his head, don't let me die. His mother comes in and she's acting real nonchalant about it. It is so chaotic in the house at various points because this situation is going on. His mom is fussing about taking him to the doctor. Bill is on the phone trying to work stuff out for the new store that's going to be opening in a couple of days. Barb is on the phone talking to Marge, who's the only adult left with the kids, and she's struggling as the kids act wild. And one of the kids, I believe it was one of Nikki's, peed all over the floor. Like, there's a lot going on. We then see a young girl in the car with a man that we later learn his name is Roman. She has a wedding ring on her left hand. I noticed it right away. And based on the interaction, I said, that man is married to that girl. We learn that she's married to the prophet and that Roman is the prophet. Rhonda is extremely judgmental. I went from feeling bad for Rhonda to feeling like, oh, she's going to learn real quickly that this isn't what she thinks it is. But right now, she's smelling herself because at the young age of 15 is the guess, because she's around the age of her oldest daughter. Rhonda's married. She's married to the prophet, so she feels like she's big stuff. So she asks, questions to Barb about the situation and, if she can have kids and all those other things. And Barb tells her, I can't have kids because I have cancer and things of that nature. She walks out literally from what would be one room to the next. It's not very far apart. This place isn't very big. She can hear what is being said. And Rhonda is telling a guy that's sitting at the table that she can't have any kids because they didn't live the principle. And as a result of them not living the principle, God wouldn't bless her with any more babies and they couldn't fix her. So let me know if I'm right in saying that what happened was she couldn't have any more kids. At that time, it was just her and her husband. And then later on, Nikki came into the picture and then Marge came into the picture. She says all of this in earshot of Barb, who looks really hurt by the things that she's saying. Roman is the head of Juniper Creek and the father to Bill's second wife, Nikki. Further explains to me why I don't like Nikki, because I don't like Roman either. He shows up to the house with a batch of stuff for the dad to drink. He says, this is another batch of stuff. The fact that he said another makes me wonder what you've been giving him. He says, tell him to drink it because I said so. Who are you to tell me what to tell my husband to do? And I already know, based on the music that was playing when he first stepped out of the vehicle and the way that he looks, that man is not to be trusted. And more than likely, that batch is what's jacking the daddy up. But we'll get to it. So Roman makes a bunch of small talk, asking about certain things, wanting to know about paperwork and how this is going for the business and how that is going for the business and how I called you multiple times and you didn't answer and blah, blah, blah. It's a weird exchange. We then see him hug him and say, good, I'm glad we got that squared away. Great, whatever, whatever. Next thing you know, they take the dad to the hospital. We find out later, after testing being done by the doctors, that they found a bunch of arsenic in him. They're not reporting it right away, but they need to figure out what's going on because his father is suffering from arsenic poisoning. Bill is then asking his mom a bunch of questions like, are there issues with anybody? Are there issues with the wives? Are people feuding in the clan? Like, what is going on? And it's because he suspects his mom of poisoning his dad. But I don't think it's the mom. I legitimately think that it's Roman because the mom seemed surprised to realize, oh, wait a second here. I didn't even want him to come to the hospital. I think the hospitals are bad or that they make people sick and all of those other things. But here you are and you're telling me, no, wait a second, there's more to this, that there's something going on here, that they indeed found something wrong with my man. So he suspects that the mom is poisoning the dad. And he later tells his wife this. End of that. We go back. We go back. They're in town. I'm missing notes here. No, I'm doing this right. Roman dropped Nikki off, right? Bill took Barb home and he went to the office to work on some things. So as he's leaving out of the store, Roman is there with this guy and he has some paperwork and he's like, I just dropped your wife off and I needed to come see you. We find out that currently Roman has been getting 15% of his first store. And now he wants 15% of the income from his new store that he's opening. Because apparently the compound help finance the first store. Now, me personally, I would think like, at what point are you going to stop paying them? Is it supposed to be a thing where it was for a certain amount of time till you pay them back? But the way Roman is talking, it's like he's a mobster or something, and he thinks that he's supposed to get a cut of everything that's attached to Bill. He says, we want a new cut of this next door because the compound helped you with the first one. He says, we get 15% of anything that you do. Bill is looking at him like, you're not about to get 15% of this. He says, there's God's law and then there's man's law. And I think you know which side I'm on. Sounds kind of threat-like to me. Bill's like, I'm sorry, this is a different situation. This is a franchise. We got the funding from this store by financing it through someone else, not you all. We did this the legitimate way, I guess like through a bank or something. And we're not going to be able to do that. I'm not going to be able to do that 15%. And he walks off. When he walked off, I had a bad feeling about his refusal. And then I wonder if his wives know about it. So we see him later on at home. He has the water running and he has a stash of blue pills in the shower. And he's excited because he's looking at Barb, getting excited, watching her as she puts her shirt back on. And he's plotting on her because he knows that with the blue pill, this is on HBO. Look, this is on HBO, and I saw a little bit of peen and some motions and stuff here. So we gonna talk. We're gonna be adults here. He was ready. He was in the bed laying down and the missile was up and he like turned around and put it on her like, yeah, girl, you know you feel that. Barb looks at him like, I'm too tired. I don't want that tonight. And he looks disappointed. Then he notices that she signed over her check to him. She's like, I didn't do it because you told me to. I did it because I wanted to. He wants sex. She wants sleep. That's when he says, I think my mom is poisoning my dad. And that's how it ends. You all, tell me what you thought about this pilot. I'm going to keep it open mind. I have a feeling it's going to get better. All these shows do. I feel like I'm in for something. I will say this much. Nikki's dad alone has me feeling like he is about to get on my nerves. And Nikki too. And I left this part out because there was a part where Nikki was talking to her mom. And it seems to me like she wanted to ask her father for some help or something. But he was like, what'd you get yourself into now? Meaning, what was she doing before? But she's like, nothing, daddy, whatever. She tells her mom she wants to stay there because Marge is just like this hick from somewhere and yada, yada, yo. And Barb is, trying to have this illusion that life is just so great and she's very superficial and all these other things. To me, she's describing herself. You spent $4,000 on something that's about to go in your house. You got a nerve to talk about superficial stuff and appearance when you're really trying to appear like you're one way when you're not. And she feels like she doesn't want to be married anymore. And her mother's like, you're married. Like, you staying here isn't an option. You need to go home to your husband and the wives. And, I think that's pretty much this. The oldest son, he's into sports. He seems like he really wants his father to be there, but I don't know how much his dad is going to be there. The kids seem out of control. Money is very much so an issue. I think that this man is stretched. I don't know how long they've been in these homes, but those are 3 homes, which means those are 3 mortgages, which means you got a lot going out, and I'm not sure how much is coming in. But you all, let me know what you thought about this one. Until next time.